remember 2-finger distance. Don't cover your teeth. I need to see a bit of your enamel, top and bottom enamel. Yeah. Tongue forward. Alright? Jaws nicely stretched. Not to the point that you're ripping it out of your hinge, but good. Alright? It's got to feel comfortable. Alright? So, step 1, breath, stomach sinks in. Step 2, blow, stomach drops out. And chest drops. So stomach and chest. Okay? 1, 2, ready, and that's why I'm putting in chords and harmonies. So you got to learn to center your pitch into the chord till it sinks in. When you sink in, it's like your body goes into a support, but also it's like your nervous system just relaxes. You can feel your body just go. It only does that when you are centered into the pitch. Okay. Centered pitching is when we sing in tune. Let's say the note's that high, and not let's say it's that high.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. When I attack to sing that same note as a piano, my brain, my ear hears the wave. It picks up the wave. The eardrum moves at a certain speed according to how often that wave is hitting into my eardrum.
Yeah.
Because some waves go that, and other ones will go like the longer they are, the slower they hit it. So okay, so that's what it looks like. So the eardrum's going like that, or it's going like that. Right now, when that wave hits my eardrum, the nerves in the eardrum, they're very like it's a network. It's a computerized sort of message. Going from there to the brain goes, 2 things happen. The brain consciously hears it, but the subconscious has the formulas from having heard so many sounds since you were a baby. It has all the formulas to work out how fast that wave is moving your eardrum. Once your subconscious tells your conscious, this is how fast it's moving, because my formulas have worked out that this is it. The conscious goes, oh, okay. And then the conscious tells, and the subconscious, they both speak to the throat, because you're going, So my conscious is hearing that and responding and telling my throat, move this fast or this fast. And on this high position of the throat, or tilted down or tilted up position, so there's movements going on in the throat to match that sound.
Yeah.
And speeds of movements to match that sound. Okay? And the subconscious works with the conscious to tell that how quick to move. So in actual fact, it goes 1, 2, 3. That's how it moves. But it goes, that's how fast it moves.
Yeah.
Speed of light. Okay? So our brains work it out in a millionth of a second. Now someone who sings in tune all the time has an ability within a second span to hear it, process it, and tell it how fast to move within 1,000th of a second. That's someone who sings in tune all the time. Okay? They'd have to deliberately sing off key for them to sing out of tune, right? Someone who's out of tune takes a lot longer. Their brain, by the time it gets from here, gets to there, subconscious tells the conscious. And somewhere between subconscious and conscious, the subconscious, if I go, that's a tone deaf person, because they're beyond the tone and hitting notes way beyond the tone from where the centre of the note is. And they keep missing every time.
Yeah.
So if you do 8 repeats and they hit it 8 times wrong and beyond the tone, without you telling them where to go, they're tone deaf. That's how I analyse first lesson where you are. Right? I know you're going, geez, love talking, I just want to sing. But it's important that we talk about it, because singing lessons are also about understanding what's going on. It's not about just having to sing. Right? So that's what's going on. So from here to subconscious to conscious to brain to vocal cords. Okay? And when you do it in tune, it means you've had so many opportunities in your life to vocalize to music that you've heard in your home with your mum when you were a little baby playing with toys, the stereo was on. And so all of those things thank your mum. That's why you're in tune. Okay? And if you weren't in tune at the age of 14, it depends on how off pitch your brain, how slow the subconscious was in communicating to the conscious, and how clear, how high definition or how blurred your conscious was in picking up your subconscious. Because I use these new terms, high definition or blurred definition. Right? When it's blurred, that's out of tune. It's tone deaf. It's out of tune, tone deaf, not complete tone deaf. Because you're closer to that note. You're not up here or down there. Okay. Now, the centre note is there. When you are just slightly off, a hairline off. If I go, would you agree that's a little bit sharp? It's about there. It's not quite. So I'm still touching the centre note, but I'm just a little bit touching, but off it. Sharp. I call that off-centre sharp. Now I need to explain this to you because I'm going to be saying this all the time when you're tuning your spouse. I'm going to use these terms. So if I explain to you, you can go, right, I know what that is. Okay. So off-centre sharp. You're touching the central note, so you're a little bit touching on the semitone above it too. So you're in between a semi and centre. So you're sort of off-centre. If I go, then that's off-centre flat. Still touching the centre, but I'm about there, not there. But when I go, that's already going to a semitone. Okay, once I'm there, I'm flat. Anywhere up to the semi, I'm actually nowhere touching the centre. I'm flat. I'm not off centre flat. I'm flat. Once I go beyond the semi to the tone distance, it's not a tone because I'm between a semi and a tone. So I'm still close to that centre, but I'm in between these two notes.
Three-quarter diff.
So that's what I call badly out of tune. So it's when you're about there or there, badly out of tune. Once I go, that's, I'm tone deaf. I'm beyond the tone. Okay, I've gone past the tone. And you can be tone deaf, or anywhere up there, or you're way off, right? It's badly toned. Now that you know that, we can start, because off-centre sharp, off-centre flat, you know what I'm talking about. If I say very flat, then you're up to the semi, so you've got to raise it a semi. If I'm saying flat or sharp, fully flat or fully sharp, you'd be a semitone. If you're really going badly flat or sharp, you're between the semi and the tone. So you've got to go, okay. Now, when you're off-centre, it's more a timbre issue in the mouth to tune it in. So if I go, that's in tune, right? If I go, see I'm going off-centre sharp, it's because I've
Because
pulled
you-
wide.
yeah.
So I've put in more treble. Treble will always make the voice lighter and lifted.
Okay.
Whereas if I go, that's too much dark tone when I'm off centre flat. Too much dark tone. Need to sort of get opened up a little bit more side switch. So, so I went a little bit wider than I was able to lift it in tune. Okay? So going wide gives you bright, going long gives you dark.
Yeah.
Okay? But when you're flat, very flat, tone deaf, you actually have to mentally say you have to raise the note up. Actually, your brain has to tell your throat you got to go faster. It's not a timbre. Okay? Alright, so here we go. Alright. So we're going to go. Now I'd like you to do this. I'd like your chest to open and lock. So, when it does that, don't suck air in because we're not doing these long phrases where you're really using up all of the petrol in the lungs. You're only really just sending out the air at the top of the lungs. So we don't need to take big suctions back in because we want to only return with the air that left. So you take a full breath, and that's where you're starting from. So, and then you're coming back to that full breath size. So what we're doing is when you go right, the air's gone we don't want to go. You don't want to keep pumping up your lungs bigger than what left the lungs. Okay, so you're replenishing. In other words, you're taking back the air size that left. We're taking back the same air size to bring the lungs back to their normal full position. All right. So how do you do that? You don't have to suck with your throat. If you just finish the note, your vocal cords return to full open position. As they move out, they have a suction ability to draw the air back. It's like, it does that, it goes, it's like it just sucks it, drinks it in for you. So you just gotta go, right? So, it does it for you. So the breathing is innate. You don't have to tell it, okay? So from here, to, open mouth, work on the roof. Yeah, how's that feel? You feel like your throat's doing it for you, but you're not sucking. Now you know when your throat's really open in there because every time the air returns, you get a nice little soft, cool breeze. Just as air comes in, it brushes the air and it comes through, right? And you get a cool feeling on top of your cords when oxygen comes in because cold air in the room is colder than warm air in the lungs coming up, right? And you can feel on the attack the warmth that touches underneath the folds as the carbon dioxide comes through. So carbon dioxide is heated air because it's gone through the body and back to the lungs. Our organs heat up the oxygen, right? But oxygen is always going to feel cold. So the air coming in, you get a cool breeze on the way in, you get a warm breeze on the way out. And that's how you get the feel.
I don't even know where my vocal cords are.
They're right there.
Okay.
They're right behind the atoms there. Okay? So you'll be able to feel cool when you breathe in and warm when you go out. And that's an indication of showing you how open they are as opposed to okay? Ready and go. Good. your tongue. You're scared of filling up the mouth.
Feel
Your mouth is the biggest stereo speaker of your head. Fill it up with sound, please. Make sure it's always buzzing and ringing with full tone. Okay. From the back wall to the roof of the mouth and out. Go. Yeah. Enjoy that. You should feel hollow but swollen with your voice. So you feel hollow in your mouth, but you're swollen with vibration. You like that?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a good description. Ready? Next one. Go. Bit on the off-center sharp. Yeah, just that second last R was off-center sharp again, just a little bit. So just stop a moment, because what's happened is now you've sung it, but your brain has heard the piano too. So we're giving you 20, 30 seconds for your subconscious to just process the sound of the piano, because next time around, I'm going to do it again now, you'll find you'll tune it in better. Because your conscious is waiting for your subconscious to process, work it out, and tell it. And it tells the conscious brain, this is how it's meant to sound. The conscious then tells the throat. But the conscious is there going, you ready, you finished? What is it?
Yeah.
And then you're going, yeah, it's this fast. So go ahead. It's 39, not 37 and a half. So you go, okay, 39 oscillations per second, guys. And the vocals go, thank you. And it all happens in a thousandth of a second. That's how you know how to do it. Right? And that's happening constantly on every sound you make. It's just thousands of these processes going on. Right? This one. 2, 3, 4. No, don't face me. Face the phone. I want to get you too. You want to see yourself and me.
Yeah, it's pretty like wide angle. I think it'll. It's like.
Will it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's got a little pressure.
Okay, I might turn it just a bit more towards me, just a little bit.
I think maybe I'm not pushing my stomach out enough. You really just like.
Yeah. No,
Smash
you
it.
just release
Or
and
you-
sit. Don't push it.
Oh,
Release and sit out. Okay. Now it's not the where the belly button is. It's underneath that drops and sits. Okay. Go. Yeah.
Feeling
You
real
need
scared
to
of that.
really hone in on the sensations of vibrations in the back of the throat and on the roof of the mouth. Need you to really get used to feeling the tickles. Where are they? The two main points that every person feels is there, vowel there, voice there. Okay?
Yeah.
And then all the rebounds here, I feel it come out of here, I feel it out of there, come out. They're all rebounds. That's personal. That's subjective. So yeah, I had to work this out because no one ever teaches this. I had to work out what is the sensation that every singer is meant to feel, and what is personal that, you know, what I feel you don't feel. So you have primary sensations, secondary sensations, and that's a primary one.
Yeah.
That and that. Everything else, where it comes out of here and there, once you're hitting those spots, or you feel it, you know, there or there, or they're just echo chambers rebounding. Now we all have sinus cavities, but mine are differently shaped to yours. It's like our hands.
Yeah.
If we put our hands together, we've got 5 fingers in a hand, haven't we?
Mm.
But the shape of my hands and yours and the bones can be varied and different. Okay, so even the holes in our skull can be differently shaped.
Yeah.
Even your head, so you've got a longer head, I've got a wider head. Right, so we have a head, we've got 2 eyes, right? We share that common factor, but everything else is subjective. Right? So even in singing, there's subjective sensations and then there's objective sensations. Okay. Go. You can't feel tickles on the back? Good, that's enough.
You can hear it on the, feel it on my spine.
Yeah, okay, but you can't feel it on the inside of the back wall.
No, I don't really.
No, the back wall, back here, I'm saying back there.
Like on the soft
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, I'm
Above
saying
your
in the
spine.
flesh of the wall there.
No, I don't think so.
The sensations will come to it, they'll grow.
I think I did too much shouting on Saturday night.
Well, this is where I'm going to start giving you some rules. Shouting, whispering, out.
Yeah.
From now on, I'm serious. You're a busker, but I'm thinking serious about you. I'm thinking about you becoming a really important sort of musician.
Absolutely. Make more money.
Alright? It's not just about the money. I know that you're struggling now and you're young and you haven't got a cent to your name. Don't worry about that. You know why? 'Cause I know you're not a believer, but He's right behind you, mate. Do you know that everything always keeps getting better for you because He reads your heart and you're a good person? right? And he's always, now, you're going, oh, here we go, and he's getting religious with me. I'm not getting
No, I was
religious.
saying, yeah, good person, mate.
Now, the reason why I say this is my brother died and he was in the afterlife. He's alive now.
Mm.
If you ask him what happened to you, he might want to talk to you about it. And I said, that's a mistake, you should tell the world.
Yeah.
He was confronted by the black beast, who was Satan. It was all real where he was. He was breathing. There was no one around. It was landscape. But he was in a coma.
Mm.
He was in hospital in a coma. 12-day coma. And he had the full-on confrontation with Satan. And it was only about a 3-second. He said, there's no time.
Yeah.
It's eternity. But he's going, what am I doing here? I was just back in Melbourne. So he had his faculties. He said where he was there, he could think more clearly, and everything was a lot more colourful. It was a lot more high definition. Everything was high. Here we're blurry. He goes, in the afterlife, everything's sharp. Yeah, if you couldn't think or remember things here, there you remember everything. And now, when he was confronted by the most evil force in eternity, Satan himself. Satan wanted to kill him in a physical, spiritual sense. He had a body, but he understood that if his body got torn and ripped, he was dying in the spirit. You know? But then there was someone behind him who, with a soft voice, put his arm over his shoulder, and Ennio saw the beast lunging at him, because he said, "You're Satan." As soon as he said that, the beast lunged at him. And he was the beast. It talks about it in the Apocalypse of John, in the book of the. It talks about till the end of the world. If you read the last book, it's very hard to understand because it's written in hieroglyphics. It's like it's all symbolisms and whatever. What is that? You know, the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. Right? What does that represent? But it says the big black beast, and he came across it. So, and the hand over him was Jesus, but he didn't know. And Jesus just spoke very softly. He said, "Stop, death. You can't touch this boy, it belongs to me." Now, he got a whole friggin', he said it was like a 4-hour discussion with Jesus, telepathically. They weren't even moving their lips. It was all discussion through telepathy of about how suffering is good for us. Jesus wants us to suffer, not to punish us, but when we suffer and we don't curse God, but we thank Him, and we learn things from our sufferings in a good way. Okay. Now, what we're going to do now, I stopped there. I want you to have a few minutes rest because I've been hitting on your vocal cords. So I wasn't chattering to waste time. You needed the break, right? Now, what we're going to do now, we're going to start linking one note to the very next note as smoothly as possible. So you have to start without bumping, you have to travel without shaking, you have to travel smoothly, and you have to arrive without bumping. You have to arrive. It's like you're just changing the level of the note, but you're not nudging anything in there or in the body. So we call that legato.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, legato is an Italian noun and adjective. Yeah, it's an Italian noun and adjective. If you say a legato melody, well, then it's an adjective. But if you say the legato, it's a noun. Okay. It comes from the verb legare, which means to join one sound smoothly to the next sound. And I've just told you we have to start without nudging our throat. Yeah. So if I do this, if I go, ah, I've just nudged my larynx. You could feel my larynx going like this. Okay? But if I go, ah, well, there's no nudging there. The larynx will steady and move to position because your larynx will rise every time your vocal cords go into motion, and especially if you're in a high range because the larynx tilts up and so the throat moves up in the neck. That's why singing this way is wrong, because it can't move up. So we need to keep our head there, more on a sort of just slightly off-centered horizontal to give the neck room for the larynx to then be free to move through the neck. Okay? And then it'll enable once the larynx turns, the pressures come off. And then you're hitting high notes again. Man, this is light as a feather. Alright. Okay, so from here, we have to make sure that we don't go bumping the support. The support locks, and then you've got to keep steady there. So, that's what I go, People like to count their stomach. I don't count. I support. Okay? I count here, right? See how smooth that is? You notice when I start, it's just a smooth purr. Then I travel with a smooth purr, and I arrive with a smooth purr. I don't nudge. Okay? There's no bumping there. Anything bumping there comes from the diaphragm behind here, which is behind your top abdominal. That's the diaphragm. You can actually feel the diaphragm moving into my lung because that's your upper abdominal there. That's the stomach here, right? That's side profile. There's your diaphragm. There's your lung. Okay, and that's your chest. Okay? Every time it moves into the lung, it pushes that abdominal forward because it needs to move forward to get room to come up. So when you're feeling this behind my top abdominal, you don't need to press by that. Can you feel that? It's like a compressed motion behind it. Yeah. So it's going that's the movement of the diaphragm going from here right to the back of your spine. It's like a blanket, like that. It's like that. And it divides your digestive system from your respiratory organs. Okay, and it's like a ceiling. Now, every time, and it's right behind the spine neck, but if you want to feel that diaphragm going up into your lung, it will do it'll do that. It'll move as it's going up. So when it goes up, you're going to feel your top abdominal moving forward because it actually has to push forward to get room to move in. You understand? Yeah. Alright, so there you can actually feel it pumping there. Now, when we nudge here, when we go like that, and we bump, it's because we bump with our diaphragm. Because remember, your lungs are sitting on top of your diaphragm there. Your lungs are sitting on top of the diaphragm. So anything you do with if that's your lung, and I go the lung will go like that. The windpipe does it. And the voice box does it because it's all a chain reaction. So we don't want to go bumping in the diaphragmatic area here behind this superior abdominal. So if you're going right? It all starts from the support. And then that kicks the diaphragm. It's like a kick in the ass, and then the diaphragm goes and then this goes and then and you go You got to shake your voice to start with. But if I want to start smooth and be on the pitch of the note, I need to release firmly. Firm releases that, punching releases that, punching's out. That's naughty. We firmly sit. But we don't go, you don't want to go slow. You want to meet the note when you start it at the same point when you're sitting. So, and I'm not going like that. Okay? So, and you can see how smooth I'm in full control of the pitch and the steadiness of my tone to keep it in tune on the right level pitch. Okay? Let's try again. Actually, do it from here. You're on a deep purr, so don't go pushing to be loud, but keep the mouth full with resonance. amazing. Now on a stage, that would go right through an orchestra and hit the back row of a theatre without even struggling, and you wouldn't have to push any louder. You understand?
I think, yeah, that's...
That doesn't need microphones when you've got an acoustic sort of environment.
Yeah, I think, yeah, one of the things I always thought about is you can make this like a buzzing sort of noise, or you can make like a softer tone.
You mean more velveted and less reediness? Like, we use the word reedy. It's very
Is it
reedy.
real dry, like...
You ever heard of bassoon? You know the bassoon?
Not in flesh, but I've seen
It's a
videos.
very wooden, reedy, that sort of rattle in the voice. That's what we call the focused vibration. Okay, and it comes off the bone. It's the pellets of carbon dioxide that are cut and released at each opening and closure of the glottis. And these pellets explode into waves and hit into your bones. Remember I explained that first lesson? Okay. Once your bones are moving, they're vibrating. The movement is not the sound. The movement is the movement. And we call that vibration. When the bones move, God is amazing. He gave them resonant properties. If you actually chop a bone in half, sliced it, looked inside, you'd see there's little air bubble pockets. It's the vibration penetrates right through the bone and goes and hits into those pockets, and the pockets make echo noises.
And then that...
And it's
echoes the
your actual
body,
bones that are going, not your flesh.
Okay.
Your flesh dampens your voice. Your bones resonate your voice. Do you understand?
I think that's...
So if I do this, if I go, that's carbon dioxide pellets hitting into my bones, turning on the echo noises in the bones, which we call cavities, resonance cavities within the bones. Okay? Now, when you go, you can hear, wow, that's an open sound. You know, it's purely resonant and it rattles and buzzes. You can't get that if flesh gets in the way, and I'll show you. See how as soon as the tongue muscles start to block the back of the throat and it twisted up, a lot of the vibration from the voice box was getting caught into the tongue muscle. It wasn't getting direct to the bone, because the tongue, it was like putting a wall in between the vibration and the bone. And that wall made of flesh caught on a lot of that vibration and turned it into fleshy tone. So, there's still a little bit of buzz, but not really rattling like, you hear the difference? Okay, now a lot of opera singers today, whom world audiences clap to, they're all grabbing with flesh. And that's why today's singers in opera, they need to be mic'd. They actually got little microphones stuck in the back of their costumes. You know how TV presenters had a monitor behind in their pants under their jacket, and then they're talking, they haven't got a mic, and suddenly the whole studio's lit up with their speech, right? That's because everything's mic'd. Now they've got that. They've got those sort of things put on singers in places that weren't meant to be. Singers aren't meant to sing in footy fields where it's just open sky and stadiums. Singing was always meant to be sung in a theatre where you got a ceiling, generally made out of wood or whatever. The walls are made out of wood, the seats are made out of wood. They have felt now, felt to make it look nice and elegant, right? But generally made out of wood or resonant sort of materials like fiberglass or concrete can rebound echo noise in a theatre. Okay, so when you've got an enclosed sort of environment, you can then entrust yourself. If you've got a good technique like this, working off your bones, you're going to get a good sound in those places. But if you're working through flesh, even in those resonant places, you won't be heard. You just can't get past the orchestra. Why? Because the violins in the orchestra, the cellos and everything, they've got wooden bodies. Those instruments, when they vibrate, that vibration runs into the hollow body of the instrument. And those bodies make a lot of squealy noise. How can throaty muscular tone compete with resonant tone of the instrument? It just can't. The squeal of the violin will just dampen the sound of the voice if it's produced with flesh and not with bone. Whereas the bone resonant sound goes right through the violins. because it's got the same squealy resonant property as the instrument of an orchestra. You understand?
Yeah.
So that's how the concept of all this, and that's why you have to learn to sing through your bones
Yeah.
if you want to be competitive and be heard. Okay, and also not strain. So from here, oh, sorry, yeah, legato. So I forgot. And then you're rolling your vowel over the roof. Oh, and it spins like a ball in the mouth and it comes out like that. Okay? Oh, go. Yeah. Yeah, enjoy that roll. It's like a big ball spinning in your mouth, rolling over the roof and out. Tongue moves. Yeah. Tickles in the throat. Why? Because our throat is so open, right? The higher we rise, the more the larynx is tilting upwards. So your windpipe, along with your voice box, the larynx, is starting to move higher into the neck because it has to do a rotation upwards so that the vocals can get shorter and tighter and spin faster, oscillate quicker, to angle the sound to shoot more higher into the skull. As we go higher, you'll notice you get very squealy.
That's good.
As you come lower, you get more purry. It's because the higher you go, the more the larynx tilts up, the vibrations are starting to go upwards and not downwards into the chest.
Okay.
Because of the angle of the larynx and the tilt of the vocals.
The larynx is your...
That's your larynx there. That big chunky thing in it. If you talk, you'll feel it vibrate. That's what because your vocals live in there. Okay? So it's it's made of bone, cartilage.
Yeah.
So it's a big buzzing sort of thing. When that buzz is there, it's buzzing in your vertebrae.
Yeah.
Your cervical vertebrae, which are the 7 in your neck, joined to your spinal vertebrae. When the cervical vertebrae, when they vibrate and move, that vibration travels like an electric current right through your spine down to your coccyx bone. Guess what feeds off your spinal? All your ribs. So when there's vibration in your spine, does it just stay there or does it travel around through the ribs?
Everything is touching.
Right, once your ribs come around to the front, it's like waves are just shooting right through your chest cavity and coming out of you like waves like that, even out of your head. Okay? And that's the travel of resonance is going through you and out of you. So you look like it's all coming out of you like this. If I could infrared your sound, you'd see waves of red just melting out of you.
So like what are we mainly coming out of the mouth? Or?
The mouth is the biggest, the more dense coloured. It's more crimson, purple, red. And this is more, the closer to the throat you are, the more red it is. The more further away, the more it loses, depending on pitch.
So
if you're high, you're going to be dense red here, light red there. If you're in low range, you're dense red here, lighter up here. So the more deeper the purr, the more darker red there. That means it's more intensely coming out of here and less out of there. But the higher you go, the more squealy you get, it gets more dark red here and light red there because it's living more in the skull because of the tilt of the larynx, which is sending vibrations up. If it's down, it sends vibrations out. You understand?
Mm.
When you're in your central range, it's hitting the back to the front. So it's mainly your larynx, which is made of bones, your vertebrae in your neck, and your mouth cavity that's giving off most of the sound.
Yeah.
Okay, so from here, I'm talking about resonance here, not placement. Okay,
Yeah.
these are our resonances in low range are very intense here, very light there, and then they move up and down depending on where your voice goes. If it goes up, it'll be up here, the voice.
So it's the more
It's
buzzy,
it's echoing more up this end than that end. Not that it takes a complete echo away.
Mm.
It's not like there's no resonance coming here in a high C, but as you go down, then it moves around. Understand?
So the more buzzy your head and stuff feels, is that the better?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's because when your back support is locked in, it's triggering deeper motions inside the larynx. It feels like as you go higher and your larynx is tilting up, you're getting a downward movement, going deeper and deeper in the larynx to get higher and squealier.
Yeah.
Okay?
Down here, right?
And so the deeper you go, with more back squeeze and more abdominal stretch, the higher the larynx tilts, the easier it is to get to the high note. It's an opposite stretch, it's like your toes going right? So it's different sort of stretches working down and up, and then the voice shoots forward. So you've got to get the opposite down and up stretch to send the sound forward like a spear.
Yeah.
Shooting out of your mouth, okay? Right, so allow for those tickles. They're not going to be permanent. You've got to rip into them though. There's a little bit of cobwebs there.
Yeah.
Got to stretch and get the muscles moving with the right speeds, right? So when you get the tickles, I actually want you to cough them out. Can you turn around and cough towards the ground? Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. and rub. It's all good.
Was
There's
that a
no
little
damage
A
going
little
on.
bit squid?
Yes. Your job is to fill up your mouth with all your voice. Never ever let it shrink. Never take away the tone from the mouth cavity. Fill it up, and no matter what's going on there, the amount of tickles you get, just keep filling your mouth over the roof of the mouth. You're just swelling your mouth with your voice on every note. Okay? Alright. Now, people say, yeah, but does that mean you have to sing loud like this all the time? No. But while you're studying and you're in early stages of open throat natural singing technique, which is what I call it, you have to first learn to get your full tone out of your body. You have to learn to first project the sound. You can't sing in your mouth. You have to actually send the sound out of your mouth. When your voice feels like it's in front of you, out here looking at you, it's going, ah, it's there, and it's like, oh, 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 it's not in your mouth.
Yeah.
When it feels like it's externalized, then you're doing it right. So you actually, it's an emptying process. It's like you've got to empty your chest, empty your head, and empty your mouth of all the vibrations and resonances. It's all going to be emptied out of your mouth for you to be singing correctly. In other words, we're projecting our sound out of ourselves, not keeping it inside us, okay? 1, 2, 3, up! Mechanically in your larynx, which is very positive. I'm hearing your falsetto voices naturally, and I don't have to train it. So it's naturally doing something very good in that it's mixing its channelings in with the chest voice. And most voices normally would have a golf ball pushing up against their vocal cords at this point, and they wouldn't know how to get rid of that big heavy pressure sitting to go to the higher range, okay? But your voice isn't doing that. It's already doing a mixing and a blending, which is something that I have to often deliberately invent an approach and exercise to release that pressure. I don't have to do that with you. I just need to keep taking you up, and your voice is, by the sounds of your machinery in your larynx, it's all doing all the right things.
Good.
So while we're going up, if you do encounter any tickle, deep tickle feelings, deep in the clavicular hole here, feeling it going all the way down, getting some real deep tickles, cough it out.
Okay.
Don't try and swallow it and stop it, because that's a release of tension, which is going to loosen up your throat even more.
Is coughing bad for your vocal cords?
No.
Oh, really?
If you don't do it violently, if you go, that's okay. But if you go, you're hitting them hard all the time, it can sort of knock them out, or make them a bit sort of exhausted. Yeah. Okay? There's a battle in the larynx between the ropes on the right and left side of the vocal cords. The ropes are sort of saying, oh, I don't want to let go. Oh, you're going to have to because this is an open throat. You're old memories, man. You're out. Your program's finished. We're in 2012, no longer 1998 version. So we're bringing in a whole new sort of balance act in the lecture.
What, the yodel, you want the yodel as long as you want
yeah, but when you yodel, don't disconnect and go to breathy falsetto. Try and stay connected to the squeal. Don't let go of the squeal, right? But let it shift through the yodeling. Don't try and push against the throat to hold on to the chest voice either. So it's like a semi chest squeal and a falsetto squeal, but you're still squealing. You understand? Okay, so but that means in order to get that happening, you need to keep your tongue contracted, not puffing, and leaning a little bit heavier in the teeth. So it does that. Okay. Once you get that sort of not you're gonna tighten in your vocal cords, and it's gonna keep the voice connected, right? Yeah. Full voice, 2, ready, shout. Now connected. We're on a G. 2, 3, 4. That's it. That's it. Go. Connect. Go. One more. Keep supporting. Now, things are falling apart in the legs. It's early days. What's this? 3rd lesson?
4th, maybe.
4th?
Yeah.
Maybe the 4th?
3rd,
Right.
4th, yeah.
3 or 4 lessons. You're at a beginner stage, right? So you're almost hitting your high C today. So how's that for just 2-3 lessons? You've never even had what was your highest note before
I got no idea.
when you first came? I think if I remember, you're hitting about an E and an F and struggling after that on the first lesson. So we've just gone up almost the 5th in just 3-4 lessons. That's miraculous, right? So from here, 2, ready, go. Yeah, follow that. Reconnect. Go home. That's how I want you to work.